Well, hi. Happy Tuesday. Good to see you guys. Um, it's Tuesday again. It feels like that week went just crazy fast. I don't know what's up with that, but went crazy, crazy fast. So, hi, you guys. Shazia, so good to see you here. Robin, Carolyn, Monty. Happy Tuesday. Lauren, hello, happy entertainment people. I love it. Hi, Adam. So good to see you on here. Good to see you guys with us and our Tuesday night friends and family. So, yeah, thanks for coming on and thanks for joining me. And I'm excited. Hi, Casey. And Jana. Hello. Um, I am excited to be heading off to Content 2023 in a few weeks. So, yeah, that's fun. And trying to prepare what I'm going to say and speak on and have some fun things planned. And then, of course, our meetup. Again, if you guys remember from last week, if you use my discount code, which is my name, Beverly, you can get a discount on your registration. And then we're going to do a specific meetup for our Let's Talk Tuesday people. So, that'll be so fun. When I was in Nashville, when Diego and I were in Nashville several weeks ago, there were a lot of people, several people who came and said that they were part of our Tuesday group. And it was really, really fun to be able to put some faces with names and to just have that common thread. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you guys there. So, hi, Peter. How are you? Beautiful downtown Burbank. Yeah. Hi, Robin. Celinda, Florence, Oregon, Pacific Northwest. We're getting some cooler weather up in the Pacific Northwest, which is nice. I don't know about the rest of you. I know when I head to Texas, it's going to be back in the 90s and not at all fall like, but you know, you do what you got to do. Okay, so tonight, hi, Leona. Hi, William. Great to see you guys. So tonight I want to get back into your questions. I just want to answer any of the questions that we haven't been getting to. I know that Diego has a few stored from previous sessions that might kick things off. Um, Robin, I'm an aspiring casting director. How can I get started? Interesting. Okay. Well, there's there's not necessarily a direct path for getting started in casting, but and I'm thinking that I actually am going to do a specific either a workshop or a seminar um on the casting, being a casting director and kind of the work, what it entails, the possible ways to get involved. So maybe keep your eyes and ears out for that. I'm springing this on Diego. He doesn't know that I've been thinking about that. But as far as how you get started, as with anything in the entertainment business, there isn't a clear like 1, 2, 3 path that can guarantee that you'll get to the thing you want to get to. But of course, as we've said before, it has a lot to do with who you know and networking and getting to know filmmakers and working with filmmakers. So, I would say, and I think we talked about this a little bit before, I would say that you want to network with other filmmakers. The best thing to do would be to make yourself available to other filmmakers who are either doing like their first films or maybe doing some high level shorts, any sort of project where you could go to them because they may not even a lot of independent filmmakers aren't thinking they necessarily need a casting director, but they don't know what they don't know. That's what I'll tell you. They don't so many independent filmmakers, especially when they're just starting out, you guys are so used to doing it all. You're used to wearing a billion hats and doing everything and having to have nothing happens without you pushing it forward. And what filmmakers don't always know is that by having someone who is your casting director, you actually then have someone who is pushing that ball forward, that so you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make sure that every day something's happening. You don't have to make sure that it gets posted in all the right places, and that the emails and the submissions are being sifted through and corresponded with. So I would say, if you're looking to get into casting, would be to go alongside someone who may not even know they need a casting director, but come alongside of them and work with them. Now, that probably means you're working for very little money or working for free initially. And you all know my story, that I started by going to a filmmaker friend of mine, and I was an intern, at 30 years old, because it was a second career for me. I started over. So I was an intern and I was making $50 a week. That was it. And but it's what I needed to do to, first of all, I didn't have the experience, so I needed to prove myself. I had a lot to learn, and I needed to prove myself not only to myself, but to them, and to make myself valuable to them, so that when they continued to think about their next project and their next project, they automatically thought, well, we need Bev. We need Bev with us because she handled so much last time. It was so much easier with her. So that's what I would say. You want to team up with filmmakers that you can be that for, that you can come alongside, you can handle the casting, and you can grow with that filmmaker. That's exactly what happened for me. John Schmidt, who I've mentioned his name before, a real pioneer in the faith film space. Um, as his films grew, my career grew. And I did my first SAG films with him. I did my first sort of, $1 million plus budgets with him. And we started out doing a $50,000 short film. So I would say that you just need to start making connections and start working with them. Depending on where you are in the process of learning, you may need to learn. So it's kind of a win-win. You can help them in the process of them making their films. You can also get the experience and learn to grow. There's also a lot of resources online with regards to interviews. There's a lot of interviews with various casting directors who can give you their insights as to kind of what they look for, or their process. If you want to go a more formal route, CSA, which is the Casting Society of America, does have an actual training program that you can, I think you have to apply for it. I don't know that everyone gets through, but you can apply for it. And of course, that's an amazing opportunity because you're learning all the technical stuff from the ground up, from working casting directors at a very high level. So that would be through Casting Society. I think it's castingsociety.org, .com or .org, castingsociety.com or .org. And then there's a probably a button somewhere that talks about the training program. So that's a more formal option if you want to look into that. Possibly, I think they do it a couple cycles a year with that. But otherwise, it's going to be a lot of your own research, a lot of reading books by other casting directors, watching interviews behind the scenes on films as to the casting process. Oftentimes, when you're watching BTS, like on a film or a DVD you might have, um, you're hearing about the casting process from the director's point of view, which is very valuable and very interesting. So those, I think, can be great for you to um, to watch and to listen to. So, it yeah, it's just a matter of getting in and doing, quite honestly. But being realistic, you can't sell yourself as a casting director who can go and make, SAG deals and that kind of stuff if you're not ready for that. So be honest, but if you can find a group of filmmakers that you can grow with, it's really perfect and ideal that way. Having actually been casting director on some projects so far has also made me a better actor, especially for auditioning. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're seeing both sides of the process. I often, when I'm doing workshops and things, I'm often addressing both sides of the table. And I like doing, I like doing some of those workshops with actors so that you are getting kind of both sides. I typically have actors who are my assistants and my readers because, well, one, because they're talented, so they make for great readers. But two, it's beneficial to them because they learn the other side of it and they understand and hear the conversations between the directors and the producers, or the directors and myself as far as what they're seeing, what's working, what's not working. And so, yeah, being on the casting side of things doesn't mean you necessarily have to give up the acting pursuit, at least in the beginning. Now, for me, I kept my options open, not on the acting side, but I was ADing, second ADing, and production coordinating and casting in the very beginning. You wear a lot of hats. And then one by one, it became obvious when it was time to let something go. And then casting was the constant. So you might find that if you pursue casting, maybe you'll find yourself shifting and wanting to put more emphasis into the casting side versus your acting side. But the two don't have to be exclusive of each other, but you do have to be careful because an actor casting director can be really tricky. You have to navigate that the way that you work with your directors. They can never feel like you're trying to push yourself on them, or like I have great actors who are my assistants. I can't ever have it feel like I'm trying to push my assistants on them as actors. You have to be careful about that. If it happens organically, that's awesome. My assistants have often gotten, um, the directors have requested that they audition for a role based on the work that they're doing as the readers. And then that has led to them being cast. So, that's a very organic way to go from the casting side into the acting. But if you are an actor and you're going to pursue casting, just be mindful of that and just always make sure you're being very professional and that you never put the directors and producers in an awkward position to where they feel like you have a hidden agenda that you're trying to get yourself in there, make a place for yourself or push yourself. That's going to make it uncomfortable conversation. And they probably will not choose to work with you in the future if they feel that kind of pressure. So be mindful of that. But that was a very long answer to your question, I think. But um, okay, Laura Ann, are you seeing CDs following the new SAG audition rules of actors able to request in-person Zoom audition versus self-tape, holding scripts no more than 5 pages? Do you think they're keeping with previous mindset? Well, if they're working on a project that has signed an interim agreement, then they have to abide by it because that is in the guidelines of the interim agreement. Now, I I wanna clarify one thing about this whole having to make an audition available via Zoom um, or in person. There's there's no way for us to keep open appointments for everybody. So either we're gonna go back to the old days where we only see a very limited number of people for each role because that's the number of slots we have, which I don't think that serves the actor well, and I don't think it's the spirit of what any of us want to go back to. But I understand the idea behind why they're putting some parameters in place. I think what I understand is going to be the new norm is that a self-tape request will go out. The option to do a Zoom or in-person, it's a Zoom or. So, if it may be a Zoom audition, not an in-person audition, but that option will be made available based on space and availability. So we'll have a limited number of audition spaces available for that. When they're filled, and you can either decide you don't want to audition at that point, or you can do a self-tape. But so again, I think we're going to see a hybrid um of that. But ultimately, I think you want to have us seeing more actors as opposed to going back to being narrow and saying, okay, I have one day to do these auditions and I can do 30 people in that day and that's all I'm seeing. Whereas if we can do the hybrid Zoom in person self tape model, then we can at least increase that and make that those auditions available. Because I'm going to be real honest with you, if we have to go back to eliminating self-tapes, then I'm not gonna take as many chances on people with lesser resumes. I'm just not, because I only have certain spots available, and I have very few spots available, and so to mitigate the risk on my end, it's just logical that I'm gonna go with those who either have agents I trust or who have really strong resumes or work that I know, and I just won't have the opportunity to open it up to people who either I don't already know their work or who are newer and don't have great resumes. So that's why I say that part of it, I don't think that's the spirit of what the actors are asking for. I understand. I think what they're looking for is a balance. Um, and I get it, because anything can anything can swing too far the other direction. So what I'm thinking and hoping is we will strike a really good balance between self-taping, in-person, and Zoom auditions, and that it will be beneficial for everybody. That's my hope. So we'll see. Um, I wondered how all that would play into it all. I know personally I audition much, much better live than self-tape. Um, well, I have to say though, that's something that I would then challenge yourself to work on, because I don't I don't think we're going to return to a purely live um audition setting. So it's not to say there of course won't be more Zoom and in-person auditions available with these new guidelines, but if you know that that's something that is not as strong for you, then work that muscle. Just work that muscle, and have people looking at your self tapes. Do a bunch of self tapes that aren't auditions. Just do the material, lay it down, have someone who you trust or a couple people who you trust look at it, give you feedback, so that you can be better. Ideally, obviously, it's great if you can. Get comfortable with whatever the scenario is. Um, and yes, I understand you having a preference to if you feel like live is where you feel the best. Um, but an ability to feel good about whatever the opportunity is would be the ideal scenario for sure. Sherry, I love having the option to self tape. I live 70 miles south of Seattle, over 100 north of Portland. Nice not to drive that far for 5 minutes in the room. I agree. There, I, th- I think it's a mixed bag, because my office used to be in Culver City, and if you know Southern California or the LA area, Culver City is what I would say over the hill. Um, from most of where all the studios are. So it's kind of up over the hill from Sony, and then all the other studios are up in Hollywood, Studio City, Burbank, all of that. And so a lot of the actors live in those areas. And so when they had to drive down on the 405 freeway to come to my office, it was a haul. A lot of them were driving an hour just to get to the audition. And so, and then when the days where there's multiple auditions and you have to be, at Disney at this time, or this office in Santa Monica at this time, and my office in Culver City, and it makes for an exhausting day. So that's why I think self-tapes are going to continue to stay, common, because there are people that genuinely enjoy it and benefit from the option. Actors who have kids, you've got school pickup, so you could never, like, take an audition at a certain time, or, you always had to allow for the commute time. So I fully agree, and you bring up a really good point, because again, if we go back to a fully in-person setting, then you're only going to be able to see the people who are within that geographic region. Whereas now I'm looking at people, it doesn't matter to me where they are. I'm willing to look at people from all over, and from smaller markets, and from places that aren't, quite as booming with regards to film. So I really do think the hybrid model is the best scenario for the actors, and for us, and for the directors. So, Shazia, I like self-tapes creatively, but I miss connecting with the CD. I wish there could be watch receipts though. Oh, I know I've seen that comment a lot. I see Dawn, I have to normally drive 2 hours for an in-person auditions. Yeah, see, I see that. And Shazia, I guess we all wonder if our tapes are actually seen. Um, and I get that. I hear you. And I understand. I can tell you, for my office, every tape gets seen. So now I'll be completely transparent. Every tape may not get watched all the way through, but it's the same for, like, an in-person audition. Sometimes someone walks in and we know within, the first couple minutes that it's not the right fit. Doesn't mean they're not great. They could be great, wonderful, talented actors, but that it's not the right fit for the role. So that's really not a whole lot different than, on a self-tape, kind of realizing, okay, this isn't quite right. Um, so the there's still that element, but tapes do get watched. I'll just speak for my office. Every tape gets watched. We spend a lot of time, lots and lots of hours going through the tapes. So there's no way that you'll know for sure, and I can't promise you for other offices, but um, you that's where the trust factor of just doing your part. You get the opportunity, God opens a door, walk through it. Walk through the door with whatever opportunity he presented in front of you. Walk through it, do your best. No matter what, it's a growth experience, because you're getting to test out that material and work your muscles. But I think the majority, if not all, of the tapes are watched, because I hear other casting directors saying the same thing, that they are getting watched. Um, it is a new world, and you aren't getting. I don't know. So Shazia, tell me, have you ever walked out of an in-person audition and felt like, or no, was it Laura who was asking that? Laura, sorry, I took us down this rabbit hole. But have you ever walked walked out of a in-person audition discouraged because you think, "Oh, man, I didn't do that right," or, "Oh, I really wanted to do this and I didn't," or, "Gosh, I just wasn't feeling connected in that moment. I wish I could go do it again." So, I mean, I hear from actors all the time that that happens. And so there are times that when the self-tape can at least give you the confidence that you put forward your very best. You put forward what you feel is a good representation of your take on that character, that scene, as opposed to in-person auditions. If it just didn't connect or your vibe got off or something just didn't click, you walk out and there's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, there's plus and minuses to all of it. But since it is the way it is, I guess I would say let's try to all look on the positive side and see the positives and focus on that. Otherwise, we'll all just end up discouraged. Katie, I have 4 children. Getting my daughter to in-person auditions would be a challenge if she had to be in person as much as she self-tapes. Yeah, it's interesting when I've done a fair amount of youth projects or projects that had kids in it, and there were times when my waiting room was filled with full families. I'd have 3 or 4 siblings for every actor that was waiting because the whole family had to come, right? You can't a mom can't or a dad can't leave the other kids at home if they're all still very young. So, that makes for kind of a chaotic environment when you have my waiting room wasn't all that big and in that location. And so, you had kids on the floor like playing games, trying to keep themselves occupied. They're restless if they're not the actor, if they're the sibling. And they're restless, so the energy is sometimes a little chaotic. So, yeah, for the families and for kids and school schedules, I think self-tapes are awesome. Um, but again, I understand if it's not your favorite for sure. Yeah, sure. I just know I typically book 50% in person versus 1% in tape. I think it's the energy they love that I need to learn how to bring to tape. Yeah, you in the callback, most callbacks are Zoom, which is great. Because then you have a little bit more of that vibe, that person vibe. And I I understand what you're saying and those percentages. Part of that is in the world of self-tapes, we are seeing more people for roles. So that may be what you're feeling, which if you're someone who books a lot and, has a good success ratio for your auditions, um, you probably are thinking, "We don't need to see more people for every role because you're doing great." But that may be part of why you're feeling, um, a little bit of a difference because there may be more people being looked at for each role. It's also been think about it though, it's also been kind of a weird time post-COVID, all of it, and now we have the strike. So, it's just I don't know that we've gotten back to whatever our new normal is gonna be. I don't think we've figured that out yet. I don't think we know what that is yet because it has taken a while to get over the COVID world of it all. And depending on where you are in the country, some people got back into things sooner than other places. So, really, it's only been recently that I would say across the country, everyone was back to a new routine and things were up and going and there was a good energy. And then now we have the strike. So, um, I I say let's see what happens the beginning of the year and how it all just settles down. What I want you actors to know and be assured of is we need you, right? We need you, we love you, we want you. So we are not here trying to sabotage you by, self tapes or giving you a bunch of pages. I mean, honestly, 5 pages with some people, 5 pages could tell me whether they're a possibility for a role or not. But when I get good people, I want to see more because I like to give a range. So for me, typically I'm giving more pages because I want to see pieces of the arc of the character. So that component will just need to be addressed in callbacks, which is fine. We can add pages to the callback scenes when we get to that part of the process. So I understand the um, limiting to 5 pages initially. As far as memorization, I've never had an issue. In an in-person audition, you absolutely could hold your script. In a Zoom audition, you could hold your script. I know people post their scripts up in front of them, so they aren't necessarily holding them in their hands, but they have them in their eye line for reference. That's not an issue. I've never once put out in my initial audition instructions for a first audition that I was for anything to be memorized. Needs to be You need to know it really well and be um I would say comfortably off book with the bulk of it so that you're not buried in your script and you can give a good performance. But that's also a skill to learn as well, which is how to be in the moment, how to be actively engaged in the scene while still holding the script or having it there for reference. That is a skill to learn. But the whole memorization thing is not something that is as common in California. In Southern California, in the LA market, first auditions, people didn't have their scenes memorized. They would come, they would hold the sides. That was the norm. I just found that in regional markets, for whatever reason, the expectation was fully memorized. And that was always interesting to me. But um, so that guideline on the interim agreement, as far as you can't require it to be memorized, I never did. So now when you get to a callback stage or a chem read stage, that's the point at which you start to have an expectation of someone being off book. So but at that first audition, no. But you do need to learn how to reference your script and not lose yourself and kind of go blank when you look. And maybe we've all seen it where you're um, well, I've seen it because I'm on the casting director side, but someone's really, really engaged and then they go to reference their page and they just lose it. They completely go blank, reference their page, and then they come back. And that doesn't really work. So you just have to learn how to. That's part of our audition skills and part of the reason that we have auditioning classes and workshops and things, because those are the little things that can really help you and up your success rate, is learning how to master some of those technical things. So um Victoria, hi Victoria, how important are the first 10 seconds in your audition? I heard if you don't nail those first 10 seconds, CDs just goes to the next. I think 10's probably a little harsh. um Sometimes this happened in person, it happens in self-tape. This is one of the reasons I always say you need to look like your headshot, because those times where I've brought in someone based on their headshot, they come in, they look totally different. Yeah, 10 seconds and I already know you're not right because you don't look anything like the person I actually called in. Either your headshot wasn't current as far as age, you come in and you're actually 10 years older than your headshot. That happens with kids a lot. I'll call in someone because the parent or the agent or whoever has decided they want to keep using this young picture when in reality the child has grown. And um so that's frustrating. um so yeah, things like that. There are times where when you're going off of a headshot or like the real, and you think someone is a certain way and then you actually see them, um you can sometimes have a very quick determination that they're not the right vibe or the right look or the right sort of spirit for the role, but this is a good performance will keep us engaged, and the next best thing is that you are interesting enough and talented enough in your audition that we maybe are thinking, is there somewhere else this person could fit? If they're not right for this, is there somewhere else? So I think 10 is being a little harsh. Um, we are certainly making those, it's like any of us, right? You meet people and you are right away, the minute you meet them, you're having thoughts about them. Um, and so it is the same way for us. But that's where I say, and if that's the case, if it only took 10 seconds for me to determine that you weren't right, then it was never gonna be your role. It was never gonna be your role. If 10 seconds was all I needed to say, "This person doesn't work for this." So, at that point, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with your acting because that's only 10 seconds. It would have to do with your look and your vibe not being the right fit, in which case that's the stuff you have no control over. That's the stuff that it just wasn't your role. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. I would be mindful of it and understand that, but I wouldn't let it be a preoccupation, I guess is what I would say. Fun fact, Beverly's one of the sweetest people. She doesn't play during auditions. I well, yeah, I mean, we're there to do a job. We're there to accomplish what we need to accomplish. And I I think what Diego's talking about is in like our workshop, the couple of monologue workshops and things. I'm not doing you any favors if I just look at you and smile and go, "Oh, that was nice. That was sweet." When there are legitimate things that could make it stronger, or that if there's a way that I could challenge you that might be a growth moment for you, that would be the the most kind, I think, and loving thing to do would be to share that with you, as opposed to just like pat on the head, everyone gets a trophy, and oh, good job. Because my mindset is you want to grow, you want to be your best, and I want to help you do that. And so that's part of the reason that I'm going to push you. If I think you can be pushed, that's the cool thing. If I push you, it's because I have a sense you can be pushed. So that is actually a compliment. If if I'm ever doing that, "Oh, that was nice. Well, thank you." Then it probably means I'm not sure you're capable of more. So, yeah, you want to be pushed by me. You do. Trust me. Beverly business mode. She's for a real power woman. You guys are so funny. Yeah, see, honest critique, and honest and kind. Like I have a great respect for you guys as actors. I love you actors. I need you guys to do what I do, and I have a lot of compassion for how difficult what you do is to do. So I'm going to try to give feedback in a loving, encouraging, productive way. I don't my heart, my desire is never to tear down anyone at all, but only to push you to maybe reach a next level, or to grow, or to think differently so that it could potentially benefit you, not to tear you down at all. So I just know that if I'm ever critiquing you, just know it's coming from a place of great respect and love for what you do, for the risk you take, the vulnerability you bring, and your willingness to be open and put yourself in that place. Have mad love and respect for you guys. Jared, I used to want to hear that was nice, not anymore. Good for you, Jared. Good for you. I agree with that. That's it's Sherry, I've gone to workshops. It basically gave the pat on the back. See, I would think so too. You don't pay to go to a workshop to just like have everyone do their thing with no feedback and no pushing, no, stretching. I want to be stretched. I want to be pushed. This Tuesday night, this Let's Talk Tuesday was a way of, quite honestly, Diego pushing me a little bit and kind of being that person for me to say, hey, let's get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Let's do something a little different. Put yourself out there. Um, and so I get that. And it's good for us. It's healthy for us to stretch ourselves and to be open to that feedback and to be open. Man, I've been so incredibly blessed by you guys as a result of doing these Tuesday nights that I can't imagine that I almost said, "Oh, I don't know if I wanna do that." It's kind of a scary thing, or it's kind of uncomfortable. Imagine the blessing and the fun I would have missed out on. And so in that same spirit, when we're working together on a monologue or on pieces or in scenes, um, I want to play. And I think any of you who were at the Nashville workshop, I said that a lot. Let's play. Let's play. It's play, and in the play, you're pushing yourself and you're growing, and you're thinking outside the box. You're challenging yourself. But at the end of the day, it's play. There's a fun element to it for sure. So okay. Oh, Diane, that's very nice. It's mutually beneficial. Honestly, I just think you guys are great. And I love your questions because I love knowing what's on your mind and those things that are going to be helpful to you. And kind of what's currently happening in your world. So yeah, you guys, yeah, I really, really do appreciate these times, our time together on Tuesdays. And I'm excited for, more of what we can do and for people coming on. And there's no shortage of ideas, certainly, of what we can do and what we can talk about. We just have to go one Tuesday at a time, I guess. So, so we are back next Tuesday. Yeah, because I don't leave until Wednesday for Texas for Content 2023. Um, so we're back next Tuesday, and in fact, I don't know of any that we're gonna miss, until I have a vacation, a long planned family vacation in October, but we'll make sure that we get some people lined up to, pinch hit for me on those weeks, people that you will love, and you'll probably say when I get back, "Hey, can you have those people back?" So we'll make sure we have lots for you, but and Diego, I'm sure there were questions we didn't get to, and Diego tends to make a note of those questions that we don't cover so that we can jump into them next week. So we did get off on the conversation about the casting and auditioning and self tapes and all of that. So next Tuesday, we'll start with some of the questions that we did not get to tonight. Okay. And yeah, just love and appreciate you guys. That went so fast. That was 45 minutes. How did that go so fast? All right. I love you guys. I just think you're the best. Okay. Yes. Content Film Festival, September 25th through 29th. Use my name, code Beverly, and then we're going to have a Let's Talk Tuesday meetup for any of you guys that are there. We'll meet up together and have our own little time together, which will be awesome. And it's in Weatherford, Texas at Capernaum Studios, which is where the first 3 seasons of The Chosen were filmed. The majority of those seasons were filmed, and I've never been there, so I'm really looking forward to that. I each season that The Chosen was filming, I kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to go visit. I'm going to go visit," and then would always get busy and couldn't. So I'm excited to go. I'm excited to see you guys, and yeah, we'll see you Emily, I'll see you virtually at awards night. That's right. A lot of I that's right. You can join and watch virtually. Um, and so just go to the website christianmediaconference.com and it'll give you all of the information about how what you can participate in virtually and then what's happening in person and the schedule and who all is speaking, and Diego will be doing a panel as well. So those of you who are there will be able to get to hear from Diego with all of his wisdom. And one of these Tuesdays, I think it's going to be me interviewing Diego. He doesn't know that, but I think we need to do that. I'll grill Diego for a little bit. Let you guys grill Diego on the management side of things. Okay, so love you guys. Thanks for coming on tonight, and I look forward to next Tuesday. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Love you guys. Bye.